Dying indoors is essential to actually learning and adapting to every threat in the game. It's purely trial and error, but unlike most games where you just kind of restart from the last checkpoint and try again, going through the game as if you never died in the first place, this mechanic of dying isn't just a simple caveat of the game, it's actually weaved into the game's story, making it canon that we're walking through the hotel, actually dying and coming back to life to progress further. But how is this actually done? What mechanisms in the game's story are used to keep us alive, despite some ways of going being seemingly more irreversible than others? Well, we'll start off with the obvious fact that the guiding light is the thing reviving us, with it for one being the thing that literally tells us how to avoid the thing we died to, bestowing us knowledge on every death. And two, the heart with wings with guiding light's blue glow and sparkles around it. And three, the actual revive animation that happens when you do respawn. You can see that when you do get revived, for a few milliseconds your character gets a teal outline with the wings and a halo above your head, further proving that it's guiding light reviving you, and also confirming, if it wasn't obvious enough, that the light seems to be an angel of some sort. Now here's where it gets kind of interesting. When you die, you get sent to guiding light's domain, at least that's what I like to call it. We levitate up, and then we start to wave our arms back and forth like we're swimming. And you could say we're doing this because we're levitating in midair, so naturally we would start to swim through the air. But if we look close enough, we can actually see bubbles floating up around us, which is a very strong indicator that we're underwater. Now, we can draw to this conclusion if we think about how we actually arrived to the hotel in the first place. Now, we spawn inside the hotel when we first load into the game, but I'm led to believe that's just for convenience, because when you walk outside, you'll notice at the bottom of the staircase that leads up to the hotel, it's just a vast ocean, which leads us to believe that we rose from the ocean, walked up the stairs, and entered the hotel. You'll notice that the game has some religious implications as well, which the developers themselves have confirmed that there was religious inspiration when making the game, with there being a cross that banishes evil beings, bonding them with chains and hexagrams appearing below them, guiding light essentially being an angel, and the wingdings carved into the podium in front of the guiding light statue, which translates to limbo, which is sometimes depicted as the edge of hell in Christianity. And in Christianity, the immersion in water and rising again mirrors Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection, which seems to be another one of those religious themes that Doors dips into, no pun intended, from time to time. Water baptism symbolizes spiritual resurrection and rebirth, and through this, believers die to their old selves and are resurrected into a new life. This act is both symbolic and sacramental, connecting water to cleansing and renewal, which is why I believe that when we die in the game, the guiding light takes us to its domain, which is underwater, informs us on what we just died to and how to avoid it, and reforms us with the same level of power it uses to banish entities, essentially like baptizing us in a way, and then sends us to the surface of the ocean to be greeted by the hotel once again, allowing us to go through the hotel with our now renewed and smarter selves. And this process repeats until we reach the end, whatever that might be. Now again, I make a lot of connections to Christianity, but that doesn't mean that the concept is directly in relation to the religion, as it more takes the concept of baptism and dumbs it down to something as simple as water equals revival, and that's the mechanic the game runs with. It's the same way the game takes the cross and dumps it down to cross equals weapon. They take a concept from a certain religion and then dumb it down to a simple mechanic, thus the mechanic is inspired from that religion. They also use multiple concepts from multiple religions, like how when you crucify something in the game, the sigil on the ground represents two religions. The crescent in the middle of the sigil represents Islam, and the circle around the crescent represents Judaism through the Star of David. Now, I'm not exactly sure how the Curious Light may differ from this concept. I would assume that both Guiding Light and Curious Light are angels, but one can do things the other can't. For instance, they can both resurrect you through the baptism process, but Guiding Light seems to be able to do it on the spot in its domain, being able to resurrect you in the same spot you died in. But Curious Light is unable to do this, and when you die in the back doors or the rooms, it has no choice but to reform you in the ocean in front of the hotel. And you can kind of make this theory even stronger, because when you die to drowning in the game, Guiding Light confirms with itself that you need oxygen to survive, which it wasn't sure about in the first place. And it probably wasn't sure about this because it might know that you came from the ocean, so it would assume that you can breathe underwater. But yeah, that's just my game theory. Well, actually, it's more this person's theory. I was just looking back at my Doors lore video and how good that was, and I saw that comment and I figured that I should make a video on it, going into how it's an actual viable theory. So shout out to Kid in Bathtub for this whole thing. And please do let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments. I know I yapped a whole ton about like religion and stuff, and I kind of sounded like a psychopath, but I promise you, like, it was honestly kind of fun, like thinking, like bouncing back and forth between every religion. But like, yeah, subscribe for more tomfoolery. And with all that said and out the way, I will catch y'all when I decide to upload again.